Hi there, it's Nicole for Simon Says Stamp, and today I've got a black and white birthday card featuring only die cuts. This is one of my favorite things lately, is to take the die cuts and find ways to create scenes or cards with die cuts only. There might be some supporting elements like a stamped sentiment, but everything else is created with die cuts. For my card, I decided to take some Simon Says Stamp die cuts and die cut them in shades of black for a black and white style card, which I think is fun for anyone, but it would be especially great for a masculine themed card. For the background though, I needed some sort of a texture. So I'm taking the Simon Says Stamp grid stencil and applying some white embossing paste through this using a palette knife. Nice thin layer, and I purposely did not want it to be perfect and cover the whole thing. I wanted it to kind of have that imperfection type of background, and then I set that aside to completely dry. It doesn't really take that long. I think though I didn't come back to mine until the next day. It was the last thing I did one day, and then I came back the next morning and finished the card. Then I have pre-die cut all of my pieces for my card simply to save some time in the video so you don't have to watch me roll through over and over. But I've got a piece of fun foam here that I am applying Stick It to both sides, and then some silver cardstock. This is just a silver scrap. And I'm going to die cut it with the Simon Says Stamp wishing die for a little bit of a dimensional greeting. And on a little piece of scrap of black cardstock, I am going to stamp the sentiment, "You Happy Birthday." So the greeting will read, "Wishing you happy birthday." I'm going to stamp this with Versamark and heat emboss with white embossing powder. The cardstock colors I am using for my card here today are all from Simon Says Stamp, except for the black cardstock. This is the black licorice from Fawn. The shades of Simon Says Stamp cardstock I'm using are Fog, Smoke, and Slate. And I have loved these since they came out. They're probably three of my most used Simon Says Stamp cardstock colors. And they work great for creating a black and white card. With a black and white card, the shades of gray building up to that black and white feel of the design is what gives it that interest. My frame here is from an older Simon Says Stamp release, and this is the sketch frame, and it's an awesome, delicate frame that I'm just poking out the little pieces that didn't pop out when it die cut, but it definitely looks sketchy. It's really fun, nice little intricate frame, but it's going to help frame up the picture book and picture book bear and picture book fox dies. And you can kind of see in the upper part of the screen that I have die cut all of the elements for these already. I am so hoping Simon Says Stamp comes out with more of these picture book critters because I think they are really fun. I had seen these die cut in more of the traditional bear and fox colors or inked to look like that, and I was trying to think of a different take on these animals and something different to do, and this black and white idea has been rolling around in my head a little bit, and I thought it would be fun to kind of see where that went, and I really love how it turned out. Now I'm putting some adhesive on the back of my animals, and I originally tried to do it with a couple different things. I had to use that glue pen for the frame just because it is so delicate. And then I used some glue dots for the bear, but what I found worked the best is running them through a Xyron sticker maker so that the whole back is sticky, and then popping them in place, especially when you're adhering them over a textured background like this and having to piece together some teeny tiny little elements. I really think the sticker maker made this so much easier. So I'm simply just piecing everything together. The nose for the fox is teeny tiny. I am using something to place that there. Some sort of a picker up tool. I think this is the Scrap Perfect Embelly tool or something like that. And yeah, Embelly Jelly is what it's called. You could use a quick stick tool or a jewel picker upper, something like that to help pick up the pieces and put them where they go. Then I'll just run through the rest of the die cut images, and I accidentally put in the bear's face, or yeah, upside down. So I had to kind of pull it out and put it back through the right way. But some of that adhesive is sticking in the inside of the fox ears, which is going to be fantastic because I can just put the little inside pieces right inside there because there's already some adhesive. So that is awesome. Or sometimes that would be kind of a pain. In this instance, it works out great. You could also, instead of replacing the eyes with cardstock pieces, you could use jewels, you could use Google eyes, you could use the eye stickers, all kinds of different things. I am going to go ahead and replace them with the cardstock pieces because I don't know why I did it. They're so teeny tiny, but I had them there. What I thought would be fun is to take some glossy accents and place that over the eyes to give them a little dimension. And I really like how it turned out. And it also keeps the design from being quite so playful. So you could send this to some, I think the eyes tend to make the cards look a little younger. Not always, but for example, I don't know that a man would exactly like getting a card with Google eyes on it all the time. It probably depends on the person, but I wanted to keep this a little bit more classic. So I went ahead and just put some glue inside the eye sockets, and I'm replacing those with black cardstock. And I really just mixed and matched those three colors of cardstocks I mentioned earlier, fog, slate, and smoke, to build my bears. So they're popping out of this sketch frame. And underneath this is where I will add my greetings. And there's just a little adhesive in a couple places, so I'm using a mono eraser to remove that. And I'm ready to pop out my dimensional sticker greeting, the wishing. And it's really delicate, so I'm being kind of careful getting it popped out. The G was sticking a little bit, so I'm going to have to use my scissors to get it all of the way out. I didn't want to tear it or redo it or anything like that, so I'm just kind of going to trim that down a little bit. I will cut that tail of the G where it doesn't want to pop out. What I love about the Stick It for these dimensional die cut greetings is it makes it automatically a sticker. You don't have to try to put some dabs of glue on the back of this and get it positioned. I'm using a piercing tool to remove any of the inside portions of the letters, and there's quite a few. This is a really loopy greeting, and they pop right out. They just, since they're kind of sticky and they're dimensional, oftentimes they don't want to come out just when you pull the die out. Even in just a regular flat die cut, sometimes they don't want to come out without a little bit of help. I chose to go with the silver foil here to help it pop from the background. I think if I had used one of the colors of cardstock, it would have blended in to the animals. I could have taken some glossy accents and applied it to the top of this to help it stand out. If you don't have silver cardstock, that's something I think I would have done, or taken Wink of Stella to it first, maybe to make it glittery, and then gone over it with glossy accents. I will be doing that to the heart accents I add to the card, so you can kind of see what that would look like. And the little dots for the eye, even though they're sticky, they're so delicate that I went ahead and put down some additional glue to help hold those in place. I'll add some glue dots to the back of the die cut greeting strip. I simply stamped and embossed the additional greeting on black cardstock and trimmed it down into a thin strip that goes right underneath that dimensional wishing greeting. It's kind of all coming together now. I've got some mini hearts die cut in those same three colors of cardstock, fog, smoke, and slate. And I'm going to use an assortment. One of them is going to be on the bear's chest because I really felt like he had the perfect little chest to put that heart. And then the rest will be kind of scattered in a diagonal from the bottom left to the upper right corner of the card. Once I have these all in place, these mini heart dies, you probably see me use them all the time. This is an older die from Simon Says Stamp, and it is one of my most used. I absolutely love it for creating awesome hearts. I will adhere my whole panel now to a white side fold card base. I purposely trimmed that background with the embossing paste slightly smaller than A2 size, so it's 4 by 5¼ inches. And then it's just time for some finishing touches. This is the Wink of Stella clear glitter brush pen on the cardstock. It will darken the cardstock just a little bit, and I think that helps it stand out maybe. It's not going to darken it a lot, but just a little bit. And then I'll put a nice layer of glossy accents over all of the hearts, the eyes, and the noses on the 2 picture book critters. And I'm using a fine tip nozzle. This one's from Scrap Perfect, which really makes this possible because those areas are so small. There was a little air bubble in that eye, so I went ahead and popped it with the tip for the Scrap Perfect applicator, but you could use a straight pen as well. I'll let the glossy accents dry completely, and this black and white die cut birthday card is all finished. Thanks for joining me today for this black and white birthday card featuring Simon Says Stamps and Dies. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Simon Says Stamps and Dies that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.